Hi, I'm Rochester Chamber Communications Director Dan Smith, and the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted institutions of all kinds, businesses, not-for-profits, education. Joining me now is SUNY Brockport President Heidi Macpherson from Spirit Day at Brockport. How are you keeping up the spirit there when it seems to be at a real premium these days?
So today is definitely Distance Spirit Day. We've all put our green and gold on. We're all putting it out on social media. We're all realizing we are golden eagles wherever we happen to be working or thinking about our studies. So we're trying to find ways through Motivation Monday and other kinds of days throughout the week that we can keep ourselves connected. And we're actually putting on a virtual coffee hour for our faculty and staff in early May, where some of our faculty and staff will be doing things like sharing their passions. Maybe they play the guitar or can recite poetry. Maybe they want to tell us everything there is to know about black holes. We're going to be there and talk to each other. It's just important that we keep connected.
What specific things has Brockport put into place over the past, say, 6 weeks just to get students through this semester, many of whom we're looking forward to a graduation ceremony and celebration, and things are a lot different now?
This is not the semester any one of us had anticipated. In about 10 days, we put 1,700 different courses away from a face-to-face format to distance learning and online. That's an incredible accomplishment. And that's taught us is that our students and our faculty are both resilient and creative. Is it a perfect way to teach? Probably not when you're doing it under that kind of time frame. But in fact, what we found is our faculty are really engaging with our students. They're making sure that they're okay. The advising piece of it has actually gone very well because there's much more interaction one-to-one. It has been a hard transition for that part of it. The other thing that's changed, of course, is most people have left campus. We do have a small number of students who are still on our campus, and we're working with them through our Brockport Student Government and through Residential Life to make sure that they have opportunities to stay connected and to stay informed as well. But every one of our major events has either moved online or has been postponed. We are this week doing our Scholars Day over a period of the whole week, where students' presentations or posters are put online and people can comment on them virtually. On Monday, we're having our student awards ceremony. We're also doing some other awards and honor ceremonies. So we're doing what we can virtually, but it isn't quite the same as being face-to-face.
When you and your staff gather after this and do the debrief on how you responded, what worked, what didn't, how do you see this changing operations moving forward? Are there any positives to take out of it?
You know, it's interesting. We're doing virtual open days now for incoming students and virtual accepted student days. And at first we thought that's probably not going to be the greatest way in which we can connect with students who don't really know us yet. But what we've discovered from that is it gives us an opportunity to actually have more connections with some of those students. I could go to a virtual open day or a regular open day and sit in front of 700 people and give a speech and ask, are there any questions? There's silence. But when I do that face-to-face like this, virtually, there's a chat box that opens up. People have questions, they feel they can ask them, and we have that interaction that I really appreciate. So even when we are back fully face-to-face, we're going to keep some of those options open because we found it's a really great way to connect.
Now, you were also chair of the Rochester Area Colleges Presidents Network, and we're hearing from some of the private institutions around RIT, U of R, about financial stress, freezing of hirings and pay freezes, some furloughs. What are you hearing from your counterparts at other colleges around the region?
One of the things that we're really lucky about in the Rochester area is that we have 19 higher education institutions around us. And what we're also lucky about is that all of those leaders work together, talk together, and support each other. So we've been having a number of different online conversations. And in fact, next week, we're meeting as a group to talk about those very things. What have we learned from the COVID situation? What would we do differently, perhaps in relation to our online learning? And what are we planning for the fall? So people are talking about all sorts of things. Are we starting a slightly delayed start to the academic year? Will we start virtually and then move to face-to-face? Are we talking about moving and transitioning those large lecture theaters into other kinds of spaces? There are ways in which we can do some social distancing and still have face-to-face classes, but it might be very different in the future. So we are all talking together about what we're trying to achieve and making sure that we share best practices amongst each other, because we're not in competition, we're in cooperation with each other.
And I hate to ask for a prediction, but here I go. What is the sense out there that we'd be able to get back into in-person classes August, September time for the next semester, for the fall semester?
I think it's too early for us to really know that. Because SUNY Brockport is part of SUNY, SUNY will take some decisions for the system as well. So it may be that we open different regions at different times. It may be that we all start online and go to face-to-face at some point in the fall. That is a question that we have to continually ask, both in relation to county health advice, in relation to what the governor wishes for us to do, and in relation to making sure that we know what's going on with this pandemic across the entire nation. So I don't want to predict a particular date, but I do predict we will be back in session at some point, and we'll have learned a lot of lessons at that point too.
And you are also a Rochester Chamber board member, and we have many of our Rochester Chamber members contacting us for advice, guidance, connections, many of which are struggling right now. What, as a board member, is your message to the Rochester Chamber membership?
We're all in this at the same time, so we can talk to each other and try to find out ways in which we can connect. And as a SUNY president, I would also say, come May 15th or thereabouts, there's going to be a whole group of people who are going to graduate and be available for the workforce. And they have shown resilience, and they've shown flexibility, and they've shown that the youngest of the newest graduates are going to be great people to work in Rochester in the future. So find them, they're there.
And we are looking forward to meeting them. SUNY Brockport President Heidi Macpherson, keeping up the spirit out there. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much.